Hello, Chiquis.
And welcome to Chatty Amigas, a podcast where two friends approach everyday problems and find practical solutions.
We are your hosts, Amafe.
And I'm Ella. So, a couple things. It's migrating season. So if you hear many birds, that's me. Let's forgive them and enjoy the sounds of nature. While we chat.
Enjoy the fact that we don't live in a forest, but Mela does. So enjoy the birds.
Chatty Amigas featuring birds.
That sounds like a rap album coming soon.
That would be kind of awesome.
That's so funny.
Okay, so that's happening. Okay, so how many of you, raise of hands, have gone on a date and thought it went fantastic, only to find out they ghost you in the next couple of days?
Yep.
I think both of us, at
We're
least.
both raising our hands.
It's happened. So, or like you meet someone, you vibing, things go great. This is me speaking as a female. I'm sure guys kind of had this problem, right? And then you switch numbers and then never hear from them ever again. And you're like, yep. I don't get it. And then you replay everything in your head. You're like, but it went perfect. I don't understand.
Right.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. So the question at hand is, why is dating so hard? And why is it a challenge to find the right one?
That's right. So today we will be spilling the tea on why dating is difficult and how to make it a bit easier. So during the research, our research specialist, aka Mela, found some great articles, and as you guys know, we're gonna link them down below. And the first one we're gonna start with is why dating as a millennial is so screwed up. And
go ahead.
No, we talked about this because our demographic of listeners, most of them fall into the category age category that qualifies as millennials.
You have a bunch of Generation Zs, which is also why, because we feel that nowadays it's similar because internet is out and Wi-Fi and social media, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And I feel that everyone can mirror their problems because it's similar. Back then, things were a bit more simple. You didn't have so many facets in being as sociable. So we found it more on millennial, why dating as a millennial is messed up. I think dating has always been difficult to begin with. I don't think it was ever something simple. I mean, it is once you're married. And I say that because it's the patience. I feel it's the patience of waiting for the right one to come and embrace themselves in your life. And I think that's what makes it difficult, because at the end of the day, it's either you're interested or you're not. At this point, it's if you're 12, okay, I get that. But after you're in your 20s and so on and so forth, why is it so difficult? Either you want to get to know the person or you don't, and it sucks when it's a lot of no's. Or a lot of potentials, and it's but you're almost there, but you're not quite. It's kind of like buying the pair of shoes that don't fit comfortably. You're gonna have to be like that forever, and you're oh, it's leather, it'll stretch out. It doesn't. Maybe once in a blue moon it does, but ultimately, yeah, it's just it's the patience thing for me.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk about that, I think, a little bit more. So this first link that we're gonna illustrate, and as we said, the name, it was why dating as a millennial is so screwed up. So the first point that they point out is that we ghost as a way to end things. And I mean, I don't do that. I don't do that. I'm an old millennial, I guess. But if you're not longer interested,
it's not that you're old, it's that you're mature, because children do this. Children ghost people. People with dignity, respect, and then are mature don't ghost. If you're a listener and you ghost, stop it.
Yeah, right, because now, if you're no longer interested in somebody, just tell them. Don't stop responding, because if someone did that to you in real life, it would be completely psychotic, because it's over text or an instant message. If people somehow reassign themselves to thinking that it's okay, but it's not. It's not okay to do that. Just tell them, just let them know, hey, I'm sorry, it's not working out.
Number 2, we're also hyper focused on sex. So the thing is, we're so focused on the physical attraction and aspects of a person that now we're not allowing ourselves to get to know them. And I think it's even more so over the phone or on the social media internet, because you see the person. You don't get a moment for the what is it called? The pheromones to take part, because you can't with the screen.
Right.
Because it's not always just a physical look. There's more to the science behind it. And I think we're just so focused on that perfect picture, like, oh my God, he's hot because of this picture. And then you see him and then he's not, or, oh my God, she's so good, attractive, but then she looks completely different without all those filters. So
Exactly.
I think that's something that we're just so focused on that we don't know who they are. We're not willing to get to know who they are, really. It's very complicated.
Yeah, and like you were saying, pictures don't do justice, right? Or on the other
They do
hand,
too much justice.
exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Or on the other hand, it just goes way over the top, because we're in this era of really high and fast technology, and people can very gently edit their pictures where it's not a full-on filter. No, I would say gently, because there's people that are really good with technology and you don't even see that it's a filter. Some of them you're like, that's a bad filter. Like everybody can tell it's a filter.
This is true.
So that's why it's just kind of hard, but it sucks. So the next one is, we're in a competition of who can care the least. And sadly, I guess the society we live in right now, showing actual emotions is it's heavily frowned upon. So if we show our cards and act like we're interested, it leaves the person we're affectionate about turned off and running into the opposite direction, instead of being flattered that we actually give a crap about them.
That we care.
So there's little gratitude for honest and happy emotions, which stinks, because there is a few of us that actually want that actually care, that actually want to show that side of us, even though it's hard, but we want to make it work. And when we do, people are like, bye.
Then you know what? They're not mature enough to handle a real adult relationship.
Stop it.
Well, it's
no, not to you, the person that does that.
Oh.
Because if somebody is like trying to explain to you why they're having a hard time committing, listen to them and then try to work around it.
When are we having this conversation though?
Like later down the line, like 3 months in, maybe.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, at that point, yeah. Like, why we here? Why we here? You don't want to know the details.
I mean, don't open up about your whole life story the very first time you meet them.
That's overwhelming.
But after you've had some like a couple of dates or some intimacy, like where you're starting to share emotions and you feel that it's, read the room, read the vibe, and you open up and they're like, yeah, you're too much, then let them go. They don't deserve
That's why I'm a big fan of being direct from the get-go.
Yeah.
Like, why we here? Like, what is your intention? Which this is to progress. It worked for me.
Yes, exactly.
Always. Like, anytime someone showed interest in me, I was very direct. Like, what is your intention with getting to know me? Like, what is it? Because I don't want to waste my time. And then if we had the same goal, then it was like, all right, so how do you view this topic? How do you view this topic? How do you view this topic? And I said, I just want to be direct because I'd rather be honest from the beginning. And if it's not going to work out, I don't want to waste our time and our emotions. And, very positive feedback I got from everybody regarding that.
Well, yeah, that's good, because you were dealing with more mature men instead of children. That were like, well, yeah, and you also knew who you were talking to, instead of like trying to find somebody in an online dating site. Like you.
Oh, I mean, I met them in person, but
exactly.
I mean, they weren't like my besties. But that's a story for another day.
Yeah, that's for another day.
So another thing is, going to that about talking, we're nowadays apparently too strategic about our responses. So now if you respond to someone right away, you come off desperate and too available, which is sad. It's very confusing because we have instant access to communicate all the time, but we're treating it as if we're sending like snail mail, basically. So instead of being, honest, so like we hold our responses to try to show that we're how busy, important, and unattached we are. I get it. You have to kind of be a challenge, which is why I constantly say phone call. Phone call, meet in person, because this can be mirroring one another. And like, I can get it. Like, you don't want to come off too desperate. That's why I don't like texting. Texting is just not a good form of dating, like at all.
Yep. I actually very much agree with you, because somebody could send a text and you read it in a completely different way than they meant it. And then now they're upset and you're like, I didn't even mean it that way. And they're like, well, what did you mean? And you're like, well, call me, like, calm down.
So this is why I hate texting nowadays.
It's very true. People
it's stressful, and then they have too much access to you, and then you have to like when you're dating show that you don't have that access. It's just, stop it. We're done. Just call people. Just go on a date in person.
If you don't like making phone calls, then text about meeting up and go to a date in person.
Yes,
because a lot of people hate phone calls, but they do really well in person. So just meet in person if you don't like phone calls, or FaceTime. At least you're seeing each other's face. How about that? So the next one is that we expect a perfection that doesn't exist. And it's very true, because now, again, like we said, with social media and dating profiles that are basically shoved in our faces, they lead us to believe we're entitled a fairy tale life that doesn't truly exist. And it's true, people, and we have to remember that social media is not real life. People just post the best of them all the time. They don't post the sad or the ugly, right? So if we're seeing people's profiles or people's Instagram feed and we're like, oh my God, they have such a perfect life. They go places all the time, and like they're having dates with their husband, and like, look at how generous their boyfriend is, right? Then we think now that every relationship needs to be that way, which that's not the reality of it.
I have 3 things I want to share when you're done with your thought.
No, go ahead, do.
Okay, I thought you were done. Are you sure?
Yes, do.
So my dad always said, and I agree with this to this day, hardcore, if the couple is too lovey-dovey in public, they just don't get along behind closed doors, because they're trying to make a point. Because there's a difference between the like subtle care that they show one another, and then there's this, oh my God, I love you so much, mwah, and like just being all over. That's too much. That's not a good sign. Like my dad knew. So if you constantly see this, oh my God, my love, oh my God, my husband, probably a couple things are happening. The person's insecure about the relationship, things are not going well. Like, if someone's constantly posting, oh my God, look at the flowers my hubby or boyfriend got me. Yeah, their relationship is not good, because if you don't have to keep posting about it. Bon vivance. If it's good, everyone will know. You don't have to keep screaming how amazing it is. The second, so then I have 2 other stories I want to share. So being by New York, I've seen the influencers pop on and about. I'm sure that's common like everywhere now, but I've seen, I don't know how good they are at hiding it nowadays, but I saw this one chick, like, she was just posing with a bunch of bags. She went shopping. Let me tell you, shopping, like expensive stuff, shopping, like easily $1,000 dropped. Okay. And she's like posting about it. No one sees that she's with her 80-year-old boyfriend in the picture. And no one saw how she was trying to sneak a photo and hide it from him so he wouldn't get mad. Right. And she's like she's got the pose on like perfect though, let me tell you. Like, I'm like, dang, you do this that much that you know your angles. And then the second it's not that it's wrong to know your angles. It's just it was too quick. But she just was so professional about it. It was like, I don't know.
It was fake.
Cringy. It was cringy.
Yeah.
And then I saw another one where I went to a field of lavender flowers, and this couple was there. She was like, she had a professional photographer, and she was posing, and she looked phenomenal. Like, the pictures I know came out flawless. She looked amazing, like 10 out of 10. And like her boyfriend was there. I didn't realize it was her boyfriend because she was so unattached to him. And he was all over his phone texting. He probably was texting his like side chick for all I know, honestly.
Probably.
And he was like so bored out of his mind. Like I cannot express to you. And then after the photographer finished with her, it was like, all right, let's do the couple shoot. I'm like, oh, what? And like they got together, they were posing like they were deeply in love, but there was no connection the whole time. The pictures looked phenomenal. It took within 3 seconds, like, okay, you're good. You could leave now. Like he was literally her prop and accessory. They had no connection. Then they moved to location. She was nowhere near him. She was focused with the photographer. The guy was just trailing along, nothing. So half those pictures, it's not even real. Like it's fake. They don't have like a relationship. It's depressing. So just please understand it's not always real.
Exactly. Yep. In this website, it pointed something really nice that it said, we fail to realize a relationship or a balanced bond that with the amazing things come imperfections as well. Nobody's perfect.
No. And with that, it comes, I feel like it harmonizes with this. We're overloaded with options. So, you know, it's kind of like you have the list is too much of a list. What was that expression we used to use back in the day? Like, oh, it's just too much. I forget. But anyways, we believe that we don't have to settle on anything because there's always someone better looking or with a better family life, better hobbies, or someone with a better bank account. So we move from person to person. And even if we land on someone that makes us feel great and we could totally develop ourselves into that relationship, we're never quite willing to give up the search because the never-ending journey becomes more exhilarating than the actual prize itself. So we have to be careful. There's like, if you value yourself and you're like, I want to be with someone that's valuable and that's going to be good to me and we're going to be happy, I don't feel there's anything wrong with that, with having certain expectations, right? I had expectations. I had like a top 3, like my future husband needs to be like A, B, and C. And I found him. You know, was he perfect? No, but he's perfect for me. And you have to find what's going to be perfect for you. Like, you're gonna have to, like, you're not gonna find someone that doesn't have baggage. You're not gonna find someone that has like a big flaw. It's just, we live in this world where no one leaves it unscathed. It is what it is. Just find the crazy you can handle.
Exactly.
And you'll be okay.
And it's very true, because I remember in this gonna get a little personal for me, not about you. But I remember your face, you're like, don't, no. I remember the advice you gave me one time, because I was getting to know this guy and there was something that was going on with him mentally. And I remember you told me, is this something you can handle on a day-to-day basis? And I thought I could, and I decided, you know what, it's not fair for me to say no just because he's got a slight disability. And I decided to stick around, and you know, I ended up breaking up with him because of something else. It wasn't even related to his disability. But that was really good, because I thought, okay, it's true. Is this something I can deal with on a day-to-day basis? And I was able to, because I just needed to adjust the way I reacted to certain things, or I approached certain things, right? Just had to be a little slower about it, let it process. But we ended up not being a good match, and I ended up breaking up with him just about something else completely unrelated. So you have to, like Mela said, what can you deal with, and what are the good qualities you're looking for in a person, and then deal with the rest.
And I want to touch on, sorry, the good and the bad you said. Sorry.
No, the good overpowers sometimes the bad when it meets what you're looking for.
Yeah. And like, I want to touch back on that disability thing. Like, if someone has a severe disability, whether it be mental and physical, like, don't feel like you're being a jerk because you take 2 times to think about it, because you're not going to do anyone a favor because, oh, you know, I'm not going to be like that. No, like, okay, good. The fact that you're even considering dating this person tells a lot about you. Okay, that's 1. You're not a judgmental person. 2, this is serious. This is the rest of your life. Like, can you handle it? Are you going to be overwhelmed? Is it going to be too exhausting? Are you going to resent that person? Because not only are you not doing yourself a favor, you most certainly are not being loving towards the other person with the disability or doing them any favors, because they're going to jump into this relationship thinking this is wonderful. And then they have to deal with the constant remorse and perhaps like separation. Like, you just broke their heart. when you could have just thought about it a little through, but no, you didn't want to come off as a jerk. But you're being a bigger jerk. So it's something you have to think about. Like, and it's, I've seen it. I've seen it working in the schools with kids with disabilities. Like, it's not easy sometimes. And you have
Right.
to be willing to, be okay with it. So
Exactly.
if that's happening, just, make sure that you really can handle it.
Yep.
Doesn't make you a jerk for being like second guessing it a little.
Yep. Exactly. We all have our own limitations.
Yeah.
So the next one is that we've become content with being alone, and that I can testify to that myself. And we all really, it mentions while we've been navigating the journey to find love, we've constantly committed our lives to ourselves and made them into something that's happy and rewarding without someone to love, which means it's that much harder to invite a relationship into our lives. We're fine on our own, so we won't leave our comfort zones for anyone. And sometimes we even find minor and trivial reasons to not, because we're secretly happy with things just the way they are. And I can testify to that because I am a millennial and I do live alone. Like the Chiquis that have been listening since day one, you guys know that I currently live by myself with my dog. And I've gotten into a routine, right? I get to do certain things by myself. I get up, lunchtime, dinner time, laundry, cleaning, like all those little things that you would have to share with a mate. I've gotten used to doing them by myself. And, I can leave my house. I don't have to ask anybody for permission, or, hey, is it okay? Or, hey, I'm going to invite somebody over, or, hey, somebody needs my help. I'm going to go. Right. So I have been in this journey of living alone for a couple of years now, almost 3. And it's great. I mean, I love by myself. I love my space. I love not having to cook for somebody if I don't have to. If I want to have cookies and milk, which I can't have milk, but if I wanted to do that for dinner, if I wanted to have a beer and popcorn for dinner, I can, right? It's not that, oh, well, my husband worked all day, I have to have a meal for him. Like, I feel bad, right? So it's,
the solution to that, takeout.
Well, that's an easy fix, right? So I understand that, but of course I would like to have somebody in my life, somebody to share with, because sometimes it does get very lonely. But I also love my space, so it's a bit of a gray area, rather.
I don't want to say anything for that, because I think that if someone's content alone and they don't feel they need a spouse or whatever, that's okay. Like, I don't want to give my opinion on that. I think if you have the gift of singleness, awesome. If you don't, that's all. And you find the right person, awesome. And that's that. And so I'm not going to say much about it because.
Right. No, and sometimes we have to be content with being alone because that's our only option. So for me, of course, I mean, I would love to have a husband eventually in the near future, if it happens, right? And if it doesn't happen, it just doesn't, right? But for the time being, I have accommodated who I am, and I've become to be very happy with myself and being by myself. So I'm happy by myself. I'm content. I love doing my own thing. But if or when I do meet somebody, I will gladly have somebody, because I would love to have somebody. But in the time being, I'm just enjoying the ride. I'm just out here being a real millennial that lives alone and loves being alone.
Yeah. And with that, I think a lot of people take advantage of that. And then you're stuck in a gray area if you meet someone that's of interest, which I don't like. So essentially, it's like you're in a relationship without being in a relationship. So you don't know what to call it, because it's not really your friend, but it's not your, significant other either. But and it's what's happening here. I hate that. I think whoever does that to you, they're putting you on layaway. And I'll explain.
I like that.
Yes, because what they're doing is, it's I like you, but I don't like you enough right now. I want to see what my other options are. So I'm going to put you on layaway. I'm going to make you emotionally invested so you don't seek out anyone else. I'm going to jump around the world, see if I can find someone better. And if not, then I'll end up with you. That's what they're doing.
Let me tell you something that happened to me. And I was so angry because he would text me every few months just to string me right along, until one time I was straight up, like you said. I was like, listen, we've been doing this for a long time. Do you want to date me or not? Because I'm not playing games. If you don't, that's fine. We'll remain friends. But if you don't, that's okay.
Yes, tell him you're no one's plan B.
That's right. That is right. I ain't nobody's snack. I am a full-size meal.
Yes. So, don't waste your time. If someone's being stupid and it's an ego thing, I think also at the end, just cut it. Cut it off. Feel like we're done here. No.
Very true. The next one is we don't feel accountable for the pain we inflict onto others. And this is very true. Because, when we've hurt someone else's feelings, we don't feel even the slightest bit inclined to apologize or to make good on our own wrongs. It is not our problem, it's theirs. A person's emotions, even if it's caused by something we did or said, it's up to them to resolve. We feel entitled to walk around acting like complete losers with the expectation that the way it's received is a reflection of the person we dump our stuff on, and nothing to do with the fact that we were the cruel ones. It's sad that this is where this generation is.
I feel like that's always been around though. I think that, people don't want to deal with the feeling aftermath or the confrontation because they probably weren't that emotionally invested to begin with, and the other one was. So when they end it, they don't want to just deal with it, which is horrible.
And I think that the technology era plays a big part of that, because
makes it easier now.
You can just text somebody whatever your feelings are and then be like, that's on them. That's how I felt, or I was honest, or those are my feelings, or whatever, instead of being like, shoot, I could have rewarded that a little bit better.
People are way more courageous behind a phone.
Yes, because you don't,
or a screen.
Yeah, because you don't. If you're texting somebody, you don't see their face, you don't see their expression. But if you are talking with them or FaceTiming them or in person, you are going to be more polite because you genuinely just don't want to make them feel bad, because now you're forced to face what you did. Literally what you said caused the problem. So,
yeah, agreed. And then we're also jaded. So because we don't see values that are good anymore, really, a lot of people are most likely have a temporary fulfillment instead of a lifelong commitment. And then we're not communicating effectively, so it gets lost in translation. And then we all have our pasts, so it doesn't help the traumas with it. So they're saying that we've become more and more jaded than ever before. We don't even trust that love exists anymore because we're constantly met with disappointment. So I agree with that to a degree. I do think that it's always been difficult, but I can see nowadays things are just so intense that everyone's just kind of over it. So these are the reasons why it's so hard to date. I think that we should definitely discuss solutions for it because this is depressing. Right. But before we do that, I think we should jump over to tea time.
Yes, let's do tea time.
Tea time.
So tea time is when we answer one question that has been submitted to us by one of our listeners.
Yes. So today's question was sent us by Jane Doe. Thank you so much, Jane Doe. Woo!
Thank you, girl. Thank y'all.
Girl. So her question is, I like him. Is it too bold of me to go and tell him, or do I wait? Boom. I love how she's spilling the tea on that. This is such a controversial topic, I feel, for a couple years now. I have opinions.
Please do. Please
do. You want me to have an opinion?
Of course, this is what the Chiquis came.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
No, go ahead, because you've done this smart research too.
Well, I always had my personal opinion, so I'm going to be honest. So no one judge me here for having this honest opinion. I'm just being a good friend. This is me trying to be a good friend anyways.
Yes.
1,000,000% no. Don't ask him out. Don't tell him you're interested. You can tell him you're interested without physically saying you're interested. Definitely wait and see what he's gonna do. I am a big fan of if he's definitely interested in you or if he's mature enough to be with you, he's gonna tell you. The men are that simple. It's really not that complicated. I promise you. Women, we make it more complicated than needs to be because we overthink it a lot of times.
Exactly.
Guys get nervous. It's normal. It's shy. I feel like a lot of women use it. Oh my God, but he's like shy as an excuse. It doesn't matter. I had like the shyest mouse man ever tell me he had interest in me. It really doesn't matter. If they really want to have and like get to know you, they're gonna tell you I want to get to know you. It's just how it is. They're very black and white like that. Men for the most part are very black and white. So I did some research to see like why is it that they're not telling you that they're, that they want to, why haven't they asked you out? So one of them, he probably already has a steady girlfriend or has a wife or something. So that's why he's not asking you. Maybe he doesn't go around promoting it, but that could be it.
Yeah.
2, he doesn't want to date or get into a relationship right now, right? So that's fair. That could be it. 3, he's just boosting his own ego by flirting or texting with you and others. So like he hasn't asked you out or like, done anything because he's just, having a good time. And you're like just one of the million, unfortunately. So be upfront with him if you feel like this is the reason. Number 4, he thinks you're attractive and fun, but you're not his type. And that happens, unfortunately. You're probably super awesome and wonderful, but he's just not that into you. It's not your fault. It just, it just happens sometimes. And then the other thing, he's fantasizing about you, but he doesn't want to cheat with another woman. So he probably, like I said, he's probably interested in or being with somebody else. And he's having enough fun flirting with other women. He doesn't feel need to take things to the next level, and he's just not gonna, ask you out. So for the most part, if men aren't happy with the status quo that they have, they take action to change it. That's what they do. That they go after what they want. They pursue women they want to date. That's just, they like that challenge. They, back then men used to hunt a lot. It's part of the thing. I don't know if this is super controversial that I'm saying that, but I'm a big believer in it. The moment I started looking at it that way, my life dating wise became 1,000,000% easier. If the guy was not interested in me, I just stopped talking to him, and it saved me 6-7 months of heartache. It was phenomenal.
Yes.
And then I was surrounded by real men. It was lovely.
And that's how you met your husband. He's a real man.
Yes, and I'm very grateful. So yeah, if he's not asking you, he just doesn't want to. That's it.
I have to agree with you 100%. It's true that we live in a different era and women were independent women that don't need no man, right?
Yeah,
but when we do want a man, and it's like I want to get the man and you want to approach him, that's fine. But you just have to read the vibe, read the room, read his intentions, because if you do want to go ahead and try to ask him out, you have to see if maybe he is if he is interested in that way, because he might say no and now you got rejected and nobody wants that. That's just sad. But like Mela said, I think it's important to be honest, like what she said earlier. Listen, are you interested? Like, we've been chatting for a little bit. I've been enjoying our time together or the times we've been talking. I'm just wondering where this is going, instead of being super direct, like, hey, I like you, let's go out, or be my boyfriend, something like that direct, right? Because you might scare him away. But being gentle, but being direct and asking, listen, where do you think this is going? Or like something like that, yeah.
You know what I'm a bigger fan of? Just stop texting him.
He texts first. Yep.
Just stop, because he's always gonna text first. He's always gonna come up with some lame thing. Just give him 1-word sentences. If he's interested, he's gonna want to get to know you more. If he's not, he's gonna be like, all right, bounce, because he's got somebody else on the side. It's really, why do you hold on to someone that's not even good for you? Like, it's weird. Just, she's asking Jane Doe, do I wait? Yeah, you wait, but like in the meantime, get to know other people. Don't put yourself on hold for this person. Like, socialize, get to know others, have a goal, and if this first guy really has interest or then decides to, ask you out, he's gonna ask you out. But if not, like, don't put your life on pause for him. I don't think you
Right.
should wait for 100%, like, do your thing. But I also don't think you should say something to him because I don't think that he's ready or the right one, and that's okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Just value who you are. Just read the room, read his vibe. If you have second doubts about it, then that's your answer. Follow your gut.
Yeah, run away.
Always follow your gut. That's it. So we hope that this helps you, Jane Doe. Just hold on. Let him want you.
Yeah, do your own thing. Get to know other people. If he's the right one, he'll come by. It's fine. Don't do that. That's just my opinion. My opinion, and also the article we looked up will put down below. There's a lot of articles that do say women should. I'm just not. No, I mean, and there are probably listeners out there, Chiquis, are like, but I know someone that like went after her man and they're the happiest people. Yeah, that's the exception to the rule. It's very rare. I seldomly know people that are in committed relationships where the woman that pursued him is happy because she kind of did all the work, and he's like, so she did all the work for this and I don't have to do anything. That's usually how it turns out. So yeah, that's just how I personally view things. It worked out for me. So if you don't want to take my opinion, that's more than fine, but this is just my my solicited advice for
yes, because you did send us a question, so you wanted us to
if anyone listening doesn't agree with me, that's perfectly fine. Go do you, boo.
Yes, do you chase a man if that's what you want to do. Chase him. If you feel like you should, then do it. Always follow your gut. If you have doubts about doing it, then don't do it. But if you're sure about doing it and asking him out, then do it. Follow your gut. Always follow your gut. Your gut is
I don't think you should. I'm gonna just tell you straight up because I'm not friend. But if that's what you want to do, I'm gonna support you. Like I was a real friend. I told you how I feel. So do what you may with that.
That's right. That's right. So that wraps up the tea time portion for today. If you would like to have one of your questions featured on one of our upcoming episodes, please feel free to go on our website and fill out the portion under tea time. DM us or send us a message under the tea time portion on Spotify if you're listening on Spotify.
All right, so now we're gonna go back into jumping on some problems, but like they're more, I feel, detailed problems and with solutions, because we can't just keep, it's depressing. So
and you guys come here for problems and solutions, so we're gonna give you that solution too. That's right.
And a good time. Yes,
that's our podcast.
All right, so we're gonna spill the tea on this. Ready? Okay, so there's phubbing. I didn't know what a phubbing was. Like, what is that? It's basically when a person ignores their partner by constantly being on their phones. So that's a problem.
Yes.
Believe it or not, apparently some people tend to look at their phones more than their partner on dates, which is not good. It's not socially acceptable in general, like, and it can make your partner feel left out or ignored. So in order to avoid this, make a no phone rule for dates. Stop having FOMO. It's going to be fine. Yes. You're going to FOMO of this person. They're going to leave you, and you're going to miss out on probably somebody spectacular if you're always on your phone. Remember, most social media is fake. You don't need to know that Lupe had a tortilla for dinner. It's fine. It's not that important. Put it away.
Yes.
Then we have oversharing or undersharing on social media. So we talked about this before, right? So some people like to share lovey-dovey photos and post it everywhere, and others hate it. Yeah. Because it's annoying. There's always a possibility of couples getting into fights due to oversharing or undersharing on social media, because it goes from one extreme to the next. The easiest way to deal with this is that you guys sit and talk and decide how to share and how much to share on social media. The fact that this is even a problem is depressing for me.
I know.
Like, how about this? We just don't share. We put one picture that you're with someone, and that's it. And then in eventful lives, like, you take pictures together. You don't have to like post pictures you guys holding hands and being like, my heart is filled with joy and the angels were singing above. Like, we don't need that. It's fine.
The angels singing above.
Because if the relationship is real and if there's genuine compassion and love, you don't need to overshare it.
Oh, I see what you did there. I
Yes.
see what you did
I'd
there.
rather the undersharing than the oversharing personally, because that means it's more real. If the guy is not really posting, that's fine. That's how guys are. If they're undersharing, that means that they usually it's a legit thing, but they should have at least one picture of you, I think. At least one,
At
just so
least.
everyone knows. If you're like committed and there's not one picture up, I would like think
That's
twice
a
about
red
that.
flag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Unless the last picture they posted is like from 2015 and they don't even touch their social media.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's different.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
they just posted last week about a cake and then you've been together for 3 months and they haven't even posted about you,
Like ever, that's a problem.
Yeah. Okay.
Then there's depression and stress. So several reports suggest that millennials tend to be more anxious and depressed, and they struggle with more mental problems than previous generations. I agree with this 100%. I think Generation Z is even worse. I feel really bad for them. I'm sorry, guys, that you struggle with this. It's partially due to fast-paced life powered by technology. So someone that's stressed or depressed can affect a relationship if they have a partner like that. The best way to deal with this is to focus on your partner's mental health and try out meditation or other remedies to deal with it. I agree 100%. And that's why I said earlier, it's very important to understand if you can handle it or not.
Exactly.
Because if you cannot handle it, you're not doing anyone a service. If if you can, then just know that you're gonna have to be okay with it. And this is for the rest of your life. This is something that doesn't go away in a few months. Like you might have to go to therapy with them, or they might have to go to therapy and have to be supported. They're gonna have the bad days and you have to be there to be, hold them up, because that's what relationships are. It's a give and take. When one is down, the other brings the person up. And they should be doing the same thing for you. So if someone has a lot of anxiety and stress, and I feel like this could go with friendships too, if they just choose not to, if they're like they're mentally not well, and then you help them, and then you're having a bad day and you want to vent and they can't be there for you, then you have to think twice about whether or not if this is even healthy for you, because it becomes like a very thin line between them not being able to really be there and toxic, like sucking the energy out of you.
Right.
So something to definitely consider. And then the constant need for attention is a thing. These days, no one really waits. Like, I think because everything is delivered so fast paced, people's patience are like non-existent. So because of which people need constant attention due to the fast paced environment that we live in, like we get answers quick, no one writes letters for the most part anymore. It's texting, or we Google and things pump up. Like it's just, and then everyone's trying to cater to that experience in general, like businesses. People now might need that constant attention for somebody, and it can lead to conflict. It's important to give each person space and time. And it's utmost important to understand when your partner is busy and needs space for his and her work or whatever, you need to give them that space. Maybe they just need a moment to breathe. Like, I love to be alone sometimes. Like, I love Eric, but sometimes I'm gonna be in the bathroom half an hour because I just need to think alone.
Yeah.
And it's not because I don't love him. It's just I need to think alone. Or like when he's out to work and I'm home during the week. Not I work too, but like on those days I'm not. I enjoy the silence. I enjoyed my birds.
Yeah.
I don't turn on the radio. I don't do any of that. And I just like, or whatever. Who does the radio? I do. I'm old sometimes.
Podcast. Turn on your podcast, Chiquis. If you're out there, turn on our podcast and listen to us.
They are. But yeah, it's okay to take a moment, and it's okay to. You have to learn to be secure with yourself to not need that constant attention. At that point, that's a you problem, and maybe you're better off like, because I don't feel you should be with someone because they complete you per se. Like you need to have a life before becoming a wife.
Yes.
You need to be having a life before getting a wife, right? So let's do that. That's a good because one. I had a lunch the other day with someone I met, and he had said the smartest thing. I'm like, oh, good Lord. I never thought of it that way. He said he feels that some people are blank canvases, and then they come into committed relationship with those so in hopes that they get painted. And I'm like, oh, good God, that is so profound. 23 years old.
Wow.
This person, this guy. And I said, wow, I agree with them wholeheartedly. That's not good. Like, you need to be a canvas. You need to be your own painting. And then meet the other painting that, you know, makes it a whole picture, makes it pretty on the wall. That makes sense. Like, you need to be your own person. And then after your own person, you add to that. And you know, it becomes this like power couple in a way where you bring the good out of each other. So you don't actually change who you are. You just, your partner's supposed to bring out the better version of yourself that you didn't even think you thought you had. It's supposed to work in harmoniously. You're not supposed to completely adjust who you are. Yeah, you sacrifice little things here and there, but like, you can't scream at them. Maybe they don't like screaming, but that makes you a better person because you're not yelling at everyone now, and you don't feel so stressed out because you're not always yelling, you know, stuff like that. So yes, constant need for attention is no good. You need to work on that. It's a you problem. And then distractions everywhere. So everyone's distracted all the time. Constant notifications, social media interactions, gaming options, and whatever. So modern life is just so busy and full of distractions. This means that a person is unable to give time and effort to a relationship, which is extremely necessary. One way to deal with this is to plan things together and do things that you both like to do together. So I was watching a YouTube video years back, and there was this couple. They were like fighting because he played a lot of video games. She felt really ignored by him, and she was okay supporting his video game thing. She didn't want him to end, but she just wanted to spend more time with them. So they contracted a 7-year-old to give advice, like how should they resolve it. I'm like, oh, dang, that's like a lot. And the 7-year-old goes, why don't you play Pokemon Go? So this way you're outside, you're doing something together, yet you're incorporating video games. And they're like, the light bulb that went off in everyone's head was hilarious. So there's ways around it. Yeah. So also, it's okay to like put that phone away. Like I said, Lupe's tortilla, not that serious.
Yeah, it's very true. And I'm gonna go over the next 5, and I'm gonna start with the first one because I thought that the very first one was just the introduction to the thing, but it's also another tip. So one of those was jealousy over an action taken on social media. And that one, you know, because again, we live in a technology era, and social media actions can possibly take or, you know, have large consequences in relationships. So like if you discover that your partner liked a bikini or shirtless picture of somebody, it can be disturbing and it can lead to fights. So if that happens, you just always remember that jealousy serves no productive purpose, and it's important to not read too much into your lover's actions when it comes to social media. Then again, setting boundaries, right? Like Mel just talked about oversharing or undersharing on social media. You need to talk about those types of things, boundaries. You know, it doesn't mean anything if I like a picture, or it means
I don't know. I feel that at that point, you have to respect, because you're allowed to be jealous of the person you love within reason. It's actually biblical. Did you know that?
Probably.
I read about it in the Bible. So it's interesting. So you're allowed to be slightly jealous of like your significant other, not to the point where it's toxic and controlling and they can't be a person, but it's okay to like, because what happens is once, you know, you get married, they become yours and you become theirs.
Right.
So you become one flesh, and nothing should be separating that. So why is it okay to look at these pictures of people half naked and commenting on it, but not okay for you to go to someone in a bikini in real life and be like, hey, I think you're hot? Like,
no,
what is
it's
the
not
difference?
okay. No,
you know what I
no
mean?
Difference. Yeah.
And that's what people I think are like, oh my God, it's not a big deal. It kind of is, because you're actively looking. Or if you have like, okay, maybe if this person like is your friend and they post a thirst trap, don't acknowledge it, like just keep going. Or maybe just unfollow them because they're posting thirst traps for a reason.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
I feel
definitely
every way.
When you need to have good open communication about those types of things too.
Yeah,
absolutely. The next one is commitment issues. Facts. Millennials have more problems settling in than previous generations, as there are so many choices in a fake sense of perfection. People can have commitment and trust issues. For this, one must change the way they perceive things and work on a bond that is both strong and sturdy. So again, if you and this goes to a deeper level, right? Like a lot of us maybe have lost a parent, or maybe we come from like divorced parents or something like that. So we have like that, like past trauma, the baggage, right, of that stuff. So of course, having commitment issues plays a big role of why some of us are still single, right? But
trauma,
so
life trauma.
so at that point, after you start dating somebody and you feel that it's going well, it's going steady, you do need to have this open conversation about your feelings. And if they cannot handle your feelings, then now you know that it's time to move on from this person. But I think it's so important to open up and say, listen, I have commitment issues because of XYZ, but I'm working on them and I feel better when I'm around you, or however you want to approach it, right?
Yeah.
But you want to let them know what's happening so they don't think that you just don't care, because you do care. You're just kind of a little afraid, or you have
Guarded.
exactly
Guarded, yeah.
guarded. So you want to have an open conversation about that.
Yeah, I don't really know anyone that doesn't have a commitment issue though.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like we need to stop using that as an excuse at this point. I think everyone kind of has some sort of commitment issue, because no one's going to openly want to completely trust someone they don't know. It's just the reality of it. It takes time. Like, it's like that even with friendships. Friendships are a commitment, you know? So jobs, you have to commit to a job, hobby. Like, so some have it's a little scarier. And I think that at that point, it's probably something a little deeper going on, and maybe the first thing is not to be in denial of what the problem is and face it and deal with it, so you could be healthy in a committed relationship when you choose to have one. Because this can still chase you around even after you commit.
You need to be able to talk about it with your partner.
Therapy is wonderful. So
the next one is more misunderstandings.
God, I can't even with this.
I know. These days, people mostly text or send DMs, and to understand one's emotion with a forward text is obviously difficult, if not impossible, because of which more misunderstandings crop up between couples. The only solution to this is communication. Again, stop texting, call somebody. Call them, FaceTime, meet in person. Don't have a text conversation, because you're going to have misunderstandings. You're going to misread their tone, and you're going to be more angry or more sad or more disappointed or more happy, and they didn't even mean that. So
I think we should do a podcast on misunderstandings. I think that would be kind of awesome. Yes.
We're gonna brew that tea, and then we're gonna spill it later down the
line. Let's do that. But ultimately, misunderstandings, as I'm getting older, I thought I'd be better at it. I'm not. Everyone's like not getting better at it. It is unbelievable how something so tiny can be so confusing. And it's just part of being imperfect. It's part of people having different communication styles. It's part of just being distracted, I think. I think one thing that we all need to understand is I want to say a good 99% of the time, people aren't actively trying to attack you. And there is a misunderstanding. If you feel that most of your friends are willing to attack at any moment's chance, maybe you need to reassess your life and choose better friends. But when you're in healthy relationships, regardless of what they look like in your life, 99% of the time, they're not actively trying to attack you. It is a misunderstanding. It's okay to ask, I'm sorry, did you mean A, B, and C? I don't know. It's just, I'm still trying to figure it out. I get people that still misunderstand one another, and I don't even really text anymore. So it's just a thing. It's just a tendency that happens. And I think that's why there's so many comedy shows on it, because it's such a thing for years and years and years. It's never going to get better. I do notice that the misunderstandings and miscommunications I struggle with, like people that I struggle with the most in it, are the people I tend to text more often than not. And those that I don't have really these issues. So, solution, communicate, actually like put the phone down, call them, speak to them in person. Don't feel that they're willing to attack you. But I think we should do definitely a podcast on misunderstanding where we could touch more on this. But yeah.
Okay. The next one is anxiety about the relationship's future. So many dating apps and social media. Again, we go back to that. it is quite normal to feel insecure about a relationship's future. So to deal with this, communicate with your partner and work on making your bond stronger. That we've talked about that. So
You sounded so sarcastic when you said that.
because I don't like, okay, of course you have to work on your bond to be stronger, but
people
you have
don't
to
communicate.
but that's the thing. So you have to be specific. We just talked about that, the whole misunderstanding thing. So you need to talk about them in person and say, listen, we met on Tinder. I do not want you using Tinder anymore. I am not going to use it either. We're both going to delete our accounts. Done. Now you don't have anxiety about they're on Tinder again, checking out people, right? You need to have specific things. Okay, why am I having anxiety about the future of this relationship? Oh, it's because my partner still has Tinder open and farmersonly.com account.
God, what's happening? Maybe we shouldn't like be looking for lifelong partners on the internet. Just saying, like meeting in person is awesome.
And there's people that have met on these websites and they're fine, which is good for them. But if you still feel a little nervous about it, maybe it's because they still have an active account. So you need to talk about it.
Or maybe you just are so anxious to like get married that you're not enjoying the moment. Because I don't think it's all just an apps thing. I think sometimes we're just so anxious, like, okay, next step. Okay, now we're gonna get engaged. Then we have to plan this. Then we're gonna get married. Then we're gonna have this, and we're gonna do that. It's like, how about we enjoy the now? Let's enjoy the beauty that is now. Like, you might not work out, or maybe you might work out, and then someone might die. You don't know.
Exactly.
You can't control. Maybe you should assess if you have a control problem and take care of that too, because that's serious. But also enjoy the now. Just enjoy. Because at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, it's still successful because you got something out of it. You got what you didn't want out of it. You now know. You got to sometimes.
Yeah, you grow as a person. Now you know what you like and what you don't.
Yeah, and then you also get to experience new experiences with a different person, and that's pretty awesome. Like it becomes a part of you. Like sometimes it becomes a core memory, and then it makes you like your awesome person that you are today. So just enjoy the now, enjoy the moment, see where it goes.
And I do agree, you do need to make your bond stronger. It's just it's been said for like the past few solutions, make your bond stronger, of course, but how do we do that? Talk about it.
Yeah, it's because it's a problem, people don't do it. It's like you think brought up.
Yeah, you need to communicate, you need to spend time together, right? Make your bond stronger so you can feel secure about the relationship that you have with this person.
Yes. Can I say this? Can I say?
Say what?
And last but not least.
Yes.
I didn't know I used to say that until you pointed it out. I'm like,
ma'am, I was about to say last but not least, like Mila always says.
It's kind of like you with the tea time. So, like I have to hear it all the time now. If you don't do so, I would get upset. You do it every time. Like you can't not do it now.
Oh, when I say so, tea time is when we answer that. Oh, funny. I didn't realize. Well,
you do it all the time. So never stop doing that because I got used to hearing it now. I'm sure everyone did. So yeah. Okay. Last but not least, difference in goals. Go ahead.
There are so many opportunities out there and people have different goals. So this ultimately affects one's relationship with their partner. To solve this issue, couples must try their best to make things work and try not to give up on relationships so easily. And you need to be willing to sacrifice for your partner's goals and they need to sacrifice for your goals as well. Like don't give up your life goals if your partner doesn't agree with them. You need to, again, communicate, talk about each other's goals for the future and for the relationship, and you can both work together in harmony for them.
That's why I'm a big believer and fan of being direct in the first week because I avoided all this.
Good job.
Thank you. I told them, well, this is what I want. This is what I expect. This is what I don't want. This is what I want out of life. Can you handle it? If not, we need to end it immediately. Done.
Well, yeah, you're not going to waste no time.
And you know what? No one ran away from that. I did not have a problem. Like at all. I highly recommend 10 out of 10 do it.
10 out of 10 would do it again. So it is true that us as millennials are currently struggling a little bit more than
it's just young people
than other generation, other demographic people right now. But The main thing is learn to communicate, learn to talk about your feelings. Don't be pushy, don't be negative, try to understand each other.
Minimize the social media intake.
Yes, try to work
Please, for the love of
together.
God.
And if you love being alone and rather to be single, then enjoy
Do
that
it.
too. You do you, boo-boo. You do you, boo-boo. So that is it for our podcast today. Thank you so much for listening. We sincerely hope you liked it.
We would love to know what you thought about our episode, so feel free to please leave a comment. Feel free to let us know what topics you would like for us to discuss in the future.
Please subscribe, give us a like, a follow, and or a 5-star rating wherever you're listening. If you want to hear more episodes like this one, please follow us on every social media platform at Chatty Amigas.
Thank you so much for listening, Chiquis. We will be back every Tuesday with the tea.
Bye!